Okay, so today is April 13th, 2022, and we're going to be interviewing Queen Diambi. She is the HRH Queen of the Democratic Republic of Congo, parts of Angola, parts of Zambia, as well as some parts of Brazil as well. So we'll let her explain how she's connected to all these regions, as well as her very long name, but HRH Queen Diambi coming up momentarily.
Hello, my name is William Gladstone, and I'm delighted to present Queen Diambi, the Queen of Africa, to Earth Gratitude Day. We've been spending the day together, and we've learned so much about the true history of Africa. Queen Diambi represents many Africans, the indigenous Africans, and she has lessons for the entire world. Her people knew how to live in balance with nature. And she's going to tell us about many of the rituals, actually, that she does personally that are so aligned with the principles of earth gratitude. We were just at the beach, and she did a wonderful blessing to the ocean. Queen Diambi, I'm so pleased and delighted that you're able to join us today.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. It's just a joy to be here today with all of you. It's also an honor to be presented with this space for me to talk about a bit of our home, our mother, Africa. So, and it's indeed true that we don't have a lot of information coming from Africa, and that Africa suffers a massive image deficit in terms of what was the contribution of the African continent to the global civilization, but also we kind of have a disconnected idea about how we are from the continent originally. We're thinking that it was such a distant past, when in reality, we spent the majority of our human existence on this planet only in the African continent. We only started to leave the African continent 70,000 years ago for the first wave, and then the second wave followed 40,000 years ago. But for about 170,000 years, we were only on that continent. So it's not just a cradle, it's our bed, it's our bedroom, it's our home, it's our school, it's our temple, it's our university. It's really the mother of our existence. So I'm very honored to be here to represent.
So Queen Diambi, we were just at the ocean here in Cardiff, and when we went to the ocean, you did a small ceremony. I'd like you to do that ceremony right now, including just a little bit of the wonderful song you used to greet the ocean, and explain why you did that and why that is something you do whenever you approach any ocean anywhere in the world.
Well, African people traditionally, like many indigenous people on the planet, are people who revere and respect nature, because we see that God, or the idea of God, or the energy that we make everything alive, is really the divine energy that is composing this world. So we recognize that the energy has different configurations, and those different structure of energy, of the same energy, but structured differently. So it's very like mathematics and physics, then manifest in a certain way. But those combination of those different structures have an intelligence, and are really important to recognize that there is an intelligence, and there's a life in it, there is a beingness in every single manifestation that is in front of us and within us. So when we go to nature, we realize that all the laws that govern the universe, and all the laws that make manifest the reality that we see and that the one that we experience, are basically divine, and are basically imbued with the divine source of existence. So that's why when we go in front of any element of the planet, any big body of the nature, like the ocean or a river or a mountain or forest or any element of nature, including animals for that matter, as well as, you know, rocks or crystals and things like that. We believe that they are imbued with this cosmic intelligence, that cosmic energy. And so for us to be in harmony, because we are so caught up into our mind, you know, games and our mind, you know, measure of reality, sometimes we have to take a little step back when we are in front of this body of other type of existence and give, you know, reverence and pay homage to these wonderful energies. So when I went to the water today, ocean is really the mother, the planet. Our planet is a bubble of water. You know, people seem to think it's a solid, but no, our planet is really a bubble of water that is floating across the universe. So when I go in front of the ocean, at this grand ocean, there's two things I'm going to recognize. First of all, is the primordial mother, because we all came out of this water. We contain that same water that is encased in our, you know, this shape, human shape, but it's the same water, because we are made of the same elements. So I give, you know, thanks, and I give my respect, and I bow in front of the body of water. So we will recognize that there's a visible part of it that we're gonna give our gratitude to, and then there's the invisible part of the water. So those energies are not the same because they don't manifest in the same way. So usually we're gonna do like a mantra, and there can be different mantras. You can also just sing a song that comes to your heart. It doesn't have to be with words, but yet the one that I sang today was from the Yoruba tradition of Nigeria, or the part that's called Nigeria today of Africa. So it was very simple. It was just a mantra that you sing in front of the water to salute the water, to give your reverence and your respect, to say, I've come here with respect. And also I come to connect my energy and to resource myself. So that's why we do the mantra and the prayers. And so we're going to come in, and usually we're going to touch the water, and then we're going to touch in respect and bow and touch the water with respect. And so the first mantra, my voice is not great because I'm not a singer, but I can still sing the mantra. So one of the mantra is Ase suye maya, Ase suye maya, Ase suye maya, ye maya orodu. Asesu yemaya, asesu yemaya, asesu yemaya, yemaya olodu. And then the second mantra that we sing for the bottom of the ocean is going to just be a chant where we call the energy of the bottom of the ocean, because that's the part that's completely invisible to us. That's the part that is completely unknown to us. But we want to show that we are aware of that part of what is it in reality that is way beyond the realm of our senses. So that's why we're going to call on to Olokun, Olokun, Olokuo, Oloku, Oloku, Olokuo, Oloku, Oloku, Olokuo. So those are also vibration that we send out, and we will also get a vibration back. And I think that you would witness to this, because as soon as I did the chant, I told you, watch, she will come to you. And effectively the wave just gushed out and came straight to us, although many waves before it was further from us. And this is the recognition that we have the power to be connected with nature, that we have the ability, if we come with peace, with respect, with reverence in front of these elements, that those elements can connect with our own, you know, structure, and then we can start communicating. And the communication is really about restoring our peace, because that's how it is. It's an exchange. So we come there to give something, and we come there to get something back. And those are why this is really the fundamental of any type of healing ritual, and any type of ritual to bring peace is always to recognize that we have a piece of the solution, so as the one in front of us.
Thank you so much. This is so aligned with the purpose and the origins really of Earth Gratitude Day. As an anthropologist, I've studied indigenous peoples. And one of the things that has concerned me with our modern civilization is we've lost our connection with nature. We've lost our connection with rituals that show gratitude to nature, because nature is the source of life. And it's only by restoring our balance with nature that we'll restore sanity to our planet. And I'm so delighted that you have these rituals, because one of the things that I think is very important, and one of the areas that we're hoping Earth Gratitude Day is going to generate are new rituals, though there's nothing wrong with just accepting the rituals that already exist. There are many people throughout the world who are originally from Africa. They probably never heard that chant before, never knew of the relationship with the ocean or with a mountain or with a river. And so we can incorporate some of those rituals. And of course, it's fine if people want to create new rituals, but I think it's very important, at least once a year, and Earth Day is as good a day as any, that we do a ritual. Obviously, once we do once, we can do twice, we can do thrice, and we can do every day a small ritual of gratitude. Thank you so much, Queen Diambi. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Queen, while we have you here, I want to ask you a few other questions, because that, and Bill, that was perfect. That's what we should be using this time, don't you think?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that was perfect. And it doesn't even have to be edited. You just got to edit out all the other stuff. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about, I saw in your, some of your wiki page that you are really a champion of plastic reduction, and that you are also very concerned about the environment. So do you have some sort of message around that you want to tell us?
Yes, absolutely. I think Bill said something very important, and I want to stress why is it that we did rituals. In the Western paradigm, unfortunately, we see nature as being outside of us, that part, and then we are humans. But we are nature. We are it. We are the product of billions and billions of years of nature rethinking how to manifest herself into life forms. And we are the product of nature's intelligence. And here we are. So we are just the same. It's not because we are not like trees with roots that you can see that we are not of Earth. We are made of every element on this planet. So we are nature. So whatever we do to nature, I'm going to quote, out there, it's not something that we don't do to ourselves, because we are deeply connected. We are actually the same thing. It's almost like, my nails are part of my body. So if whatever I do to my nails, I'm doing to my body. So whatever we do to the waters, whatever we do to the trees, whatever we do to anything, we are doing it to ourselves. And there are immediate consequences that we see, because we see that we're destroying the environment in which that supports our life, with our food, with our water, with everything. But there are some things that are even more subtle than that. By destroying the environment that is out there, we are also destroying the environment that is in here, because every single piece of our inner environment is connected and correlated to the outer environment. So we cannot possibly ever imagine that we're going to have a peaceful and happy life if we are destroying the outer world, because the outer world is the inner world is a correlate of the inner world. So when we do the rituals, it's really so that we can be reminded, and we can attune to the fact that there is no separation between me in there and what's out there. So when we have to become aware of that more, so that we make better decisions, because those are going to have tremendous consequences on the structure of our own energy structure as we destroying the planet. So of course, my people that live in the rural area. They don't live in cities. Most of my people have never seen a city. Most of my people have never even seen a road. We don't have electricity. We don't have running water. Most of my people live in nature, and we are farmers. and we also are hunting, but not that much, but we are farmers mainly. So we live with the cycles of nature, and nature has given us everything. I mean, the nature out there is giving us everything, just the same as the nature in here. So everything is built with a very, very, very amazing precision for us to be in balance and to thrive. And we're disturbing that when we don't recognize that whatever we do out there, we also do it to ourselves. So the first attempt to not pollute should come from our own mind and heart, so that we can then manifest that desire to be good steward to the outer nature. So I call it the outer nature and then the inner nature. So it's the same exact element. It's not different. So why plastic? Because plastic for me represent the change of civilization. Basically, when I remember growing up in Congo, we never had plastic. When we were thirsty, we were walking in the street or we were playing outside, we would knock at the first door. We didn't have to know the people, and we would ask for water, and they would give us water, and we would drink the water, and then off we went on our business. We kept on walking, and we didn't have to know the people. And then they came with the concept that, oh, you don't have to go and knock at people's door anymore. If you want fresh water, you can just buy your own bottle. And with all of this modernity that they brought in Africa, they didn't bring the solutions with them. They brought, some superficial solution for the problem, to have water, but they did not bring the solution for the problem that these plastic bottles were going to cause. So now we have rivers that are filled with tons and tons of plastic. Again, we fail to recognize that we are all connected, and that the waters of the Basin of Congo is the third freshwater reserve we have in the world after the Amazon and Russia. So the third reserve of fresh water for the planet is in Congo. So today we are not in Congo, we don't care. Plastic is all over the place, but we're thinking that we're not gonna get the repercussion. Yes, we will, because the water the plastic will seep in, the earth will seep in, go to the oceans, and then we'll end up in the womb of our pregnant mothers all over the planet. It's not going to just be an African problem. It's not just going to be the Congo problem. So when I speak about environment, I really am speaking to our heart, to recognize that everywhere is our home. There's not just my backyard is clean, therefore I don't care about what's going on in the neighbor.
Right.
We have to be conscious that we are all interconnected to each other. And the better my neighbor does, the better I am going to do as well. So I always say, sometimes you just have to be selfish. Help someone.
I love that. Okay, so what's the solution for Congo? I mean, if you want to not have bottled water, then you have to have clean, potable, fresh water, right? Is that a problem? Or why have people moved to bottled water in the first place?
So we have to remember that before the modernity that the Western world brought, we were living very organic lives. So even our wastes were all organic waste. So when you go to my villages today, I have a population of 3 million on the globe, but 1.5 million in the land that I have in Congo. There is no garbage. I mean, all the waste is just organic, and then we put it in the corner of one of the compound, and then we see the dog come in, then the chicken come in, then the goats come in, then the ants and the flies, whatever, and then by the next day you go there's nothing left. Everything has been processed by nature. So because the waste were organic, but now we're producing all these non-organic waste, but with the use of these material, we have not educated the population to manage the waste properly. And also the states that are managing those countries are deficient in the means and in understanding of how to do waste management. So for me, it's a problem, first of all, of education, and also of mean to do proper waste management. So waste management solution should be deployed as almost like a firefighter. There should be like a planet fighters that should go and be deployed when there is a catastrophe such as that, and not
Yeah.
just Greenpeace, but people just like, like a green army almost, to go in the world with different competence and to deploy them to deal with the governments that are facing these problems, like in the Congo, and then really massively go to provide the solution for waste management, but also provide the education, because people are not used to, having problems with throwing something on the floor, because everything we threw was organic and biodegradable. But now if you have still the same, behaviors, but now you're doing it with non-organic waste, but now we have a big problem.
Got it. Got it. Another area that I wanted to talk to you about is conservation. So I was looking and I saw that the Democratic Republic of Congo, and probably some of your people, are actually really active in trying to conserve and to protect some of the great animals there. So do you want to speak a little bit to that?
Yes, absolutely. So the history of Africa is so intertwined into all this, what we're talking today and what we see today manifested, because we were very reckless with this place that is like a Garden of Eden, because it's so gorgeous, so beautiful. There is everything there. There's such a great diversity of animals and everything, trees, all kinds of plants and all kinds of systems. And we have, failed to recognize that value. And we only looked at those land as being valuable because of the mineral resources that they had, and maybe some wood also, because the wood is precious and is valuable in terms of commerce, international commerce. So we didn't value everything else, and we didn't value the animals. So we just looked at Africa as a basement where we just go fetch whatever we need in order for us to fabricate and to manufacture everything, that all the gadgets that we want to have. But we now start to recognize that the wealth of the planet is the entire ecosystem, and that every animal is a treasure, every plant is a treasure, because those are the things, believe it or not, that will allow us to leap into a new level of consciousness. Without these plants, without these animals, without these rivers, without all of these natural, out there, we will lack the tool to do the next leap of human evolution or human conscious evolution. So for me, there is a lot of efforts being done, because now African people are starting to realize that, wait a minute, you said the gold was important. Wait a minute, you said diamond was important. You said copper was important. You didn't ask me my opinion. What if for me, a tree is more important? Because remember, in my tradition, we used to go and pray in front of trees and listen to the trees and talk to the trees. And so for us, maybe a tree was more valuable than a kilo of gold. But another paradigm crashed with ours. And so now I think the voice that needs to rise from, especially from the indigenous people, is to say, wait a minute, we have to decide for ourselves what is value. And then we have to associate ourselves with all the people in the world who are now awakening, all the people who start to realize that, yes, the true value is green. The true gold is green. It's not, those minerals. I mean, they are nothing against the minerals, but this is where the true value is, because that's what sustains life, nothing else. You cannot suck on the bar of gold all day long and think you're going to have some nutrients out of it. Green is the gold. Green is what sustains life. Blue is what sustains life. So we have to go and invest in our green economy, in our blue economy, because those are the ones that are going to, and the yellow one for the sun, of course, and the energy. This is why a lot of efforts now, many local community, many chiefs and kings in Africa, we are talking together and we are promoting these ideas that we really have to be a steward of the environment that has been given in our care.
It's pretty astute. Thank you. Okay, so one last quick question, and then of course we'll talk about anything else that you want to talk about. So there's been a lot of conversation around that, and I've looked at the statistics. So the United States, the Middle East, Australia, Canada, we have the largest CO2 footprint per capita. Guess who has the lowest? Africa. Guess who is suffering the most from climate change right now? Africa. So do you want to speak to, again, our focus at Earth Gratitude, it's not to ignore the issues, but it's kind of like to think about when you see the problem, create the solution, and understand that gratitude for our home planet is part of being able to see the problem and find the solution. So, you know, rather than just say blah, 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 you know, whine about it, I think it's important to state the fact and, you know, what you think that your people can do and what you can convey to the Westerners who do have the bigger CO2 footprint.
Well, what I say is the choice we made about our economy and the way we want to use ecology to sustain our lives. And we have developed a model where more is best. And it's never enough, and it's never big enough, it's never tall enough, it's never many enough. And we have created a model where we measure our success by the quantity, not by the quality. So our economy, you know, are bound to either grow forever, and then this is would supposedly be the sound health of our economy, or if it's in recession, then we are in trouble because we're shrinking. But we're talking about sustainability all the time. I hear sustainability over here, everybody's talking about sustainability. But yet again, I have yet to hear people talking about the fact that the model itself is not sustainable. So it's like, okay, so how do we understand that? How do we put that together? So we have an unsustainable model, and then we just put little patches of sustainable policies in there. And then how is that going to work? So yes, indeed, we are going to have to ask ourselves the hard questions. And we can no longer differentiate ourselves and say, okay, you are on this side of the planet and we are on this side of the planet. Yes, we have to take responsibility collectively, because even when you talk about the fact that the CO2, biggest polluter is actually the industrialized country, but you have to understand the discourse that they have towards the so-called, a non-industrialized country, and the discourse that they have, what they call emerging economies. So the discourse and what they teach our students, including people like me, when we will go to school in New York or Paris or London, they teach us the same economic models, the same economic theory, Keynes and all this stuff. And then it give us all the same economic formulas, and they tell us this is what works, look at us. But never they include the fact that what about all the adverse effects? It's like a medicine that talks about all it does well, except that never talk about the adverse effect of the medicine. So the model itself, we have to be honest in evaluating the adverse effect. And then when we go promoting this economic system, we have to tell the people, listen, guys, if you want your country to look like Dubai, or to look like Hong Kong, or to look like New York, well, this is what's going to be on the back end of it. You're going to pollute, you're going to destroy, you're going to need more resources, you're going to need to dig more. That's going to come with wars, because everybody's going to be fighting over the same resources, and then by the way, on top of that, you're going to create a civilization where people are in such a distress that your own youth will want to suicide. Your own future will want to kill itself. And so you're going to have to explain that to my people in the villages so they can make a conscious choice, informed consent before they buy into this model. And if they don't, then together, and if those who are asking those questions, even in the actual model, we have to work together to propose alternative solutions. I'm not saying I have one. I'm not saying that the alternative solution is already out there, but it will only be out there if we work towards building it by recognizing that what's working, what's now, it's flawed. And it's scary. Of course it's scary. We do things as we always done them, and we think this is it. This is all we can do. And to say, wait a minute, how do we transition? To what? So we have to just basically ask ourselves those questions and involve as many people all over the planet, and especially young people. And not to think young people are stupid. They're not stupid. They're coming in this world already upgrade of who we are. So they come ready to deploy absolutely formidable thinking mechanism to maybe bring some solution, but we have to put them in front of the problem. So the truth for me is what's primordial in this situation, to speak the truth and not to speak the truth, to point fingers at one or the other and say, okay, you are industrial. We cannot roll back the clock and go before the first industrial revolution and tell the British, oh no, we can't do that because, down the line, 200 years down the line or 150 days, we're going to pollute the rivers. It's impossible. So we have to be reasonable in making correct assessments, not pointing fingers, and looking to those who are willing, I call them the mighty ones, who are willing to take a look at the problem and turn it upside down and look for solutions.
I want to reframe this and give you the opportunity now to, almost like the prayer that you said to the water, what prayer would you say to the mighty ones that we can empower, including the children and the teens and the younger generation? What prayer of wisdom would you give them about the task at hand? And, I take it from there. You know what I'm going, right?
Yes. Well, first of all, I think the fundamental element is to recognize that we are nature. That's the first thing, to not displace ourselves out of nature, to replace ourselves into nature, and to also trust that nature has her way. Nature knows best. And because nature knows best, nature will also use us. So we have to trust, but for that we have to be honest. We have to be open to receive, and we have to be also open to give, and not to hang on to things that are futile and all this material wealth that are futile. We have to hang on to the fact that we are capable of finding solutions, not to be afraid, because nature will use us. Because those new children that will be born, they will come with nature's new program, new ways of looking at reality, so that they can come, with innovative solution and alternative voices. And it's already happening. If not, we wouldn't be here. So to trust that there is a process that is intelligent, that is way beyond what we can comprehend, because this system, this cosmic system, works on one thing and one thing alone: it's balance. And we always seek to find homeostasis no matter what we do. So to trust that the ones who feel that they are compelled to act, they cannot look at just the problem and thinking that it's overwhelming. The problem is big, but they also have to understand that the solution is within them. And it's also going to be an overwhelmingly successful solution only if they realize that every one of us is holding just a piece of it. And for the solution to work, we have to be together, and we have to be compassionate. We have to be respectful. We have to be reverent to each other and to nature, to all that surrounds us.
Love it.
Thank you so much. That is so aligned with why we created Earth Gratitude Day, because it really is about raising awareness of everyone on the planet that we are one unified species, that what each and every one of us does has an impact on every other human being on our planet, and of course all the trees and the other animals and even the air itself. Everything is interconnected. As people begin to realize this, the solutions will spring forth. That's our belief. And it's better to have a positive belief that there is a solution than to throw up your hands and just think that because we've had a string of maybe 100 to 200 years of not being aware of the problem, not addressing it, that it can't be addressed. We can change our behavior. You're a living expression of how someone can make a huge difference. And each and every one of us has that potential. So thank you so much. We're so grateful to you. And of course, we're grateful to the Earth.
Perfect. Do you have any last thing that you want to say, Queen Diambi?
Well, I think I said all I wanted to say. I just think that it's a beautiful time to be alive, because we are now awakening to this reality, and also that we have to be patient, and we have to we have to trust. And it's not going to take everybody to be on board. It's only going to take the critical mass to make the changes and to fight for those solutions. So we have to understand that life it as its own process, and we are just basically accompanying this process. We're not owning it, we're not controlling it, but we are accompanying it and manifesting those solutions through our actions and our aspiration and desires. Yes.
Wonderful. And I'm going to ask you one last thing. Would you be so kind as to just give a message to earthgratitude.org? Just say, I'm so happy to be here with the Earth Gratitude people, and just whatever message you want to say. Just know that, you know, obviously we're both sustainability, you know, practices, best practices, inspiring stories from around the world. And of course, that big thing about gratitude being more important than hope. Hope to me is like a little too passive. I agree with you that we're all part of nature and we can listen to her better. But hope to me feels like not as quite as good as gratitude and engagement. So.
Yes, of course. I am very, very happy and honored to be here today to share this moment invited by earthgratitude.org. And this organization is doing an amazing work, bringing awareness and action into the space of reconciliation with the planet. And it's something that I want to be part of. It's something that I'm proud to be here on this panel to talk about this and bring my voice that is a bit different, maybe because I come from Central Africa, but more of this has to be done, and we have to bring the human family together for this. Thank you for all the team of our Earth Gratitude.
You know, what's crazy about that, sadly, is that there was a little audio feedback. Can you try it one more time, and hopefully we won't have any of the echo? Just once more.
That's okay.
Take two.
Yep. I am very, very honored and very happy to be here today with the team of Earth Gratitude. I think that it's commendable that you have people who are working very hard to manifest and work in manifest will, intention, and action into restoring and helping our planet heal. And gratitude is the first element of this work. If you have no gratitude, then you cannot move forward. So gratitude is really something that connects us to the fundamental, element that is the life itself. So the team is doing an amazing job bringing awareness and opening up a space, opening up a sacred space for this kind of work. And I'm very honored and happy to be part of this. And hopefully we will continue this conversation and the work together. Thank you to the entire team of Earth Gratitude. And please go check out the website, earthgratitude.org.
Perfect. Okay, but this might be helpful. Okay, so this is not for us to share with the whole world. This is just for us to share with Queen Diambi. So this is called the Eden in Iraq Wastewater Garden Project. So it's this particular person, his name is Mark Nelson, and his book is called The Wastewater Gardener. Believe it or not, I know that you've traveled a lot, but I toured Highgrove in Tetbury, England, which is, HRH, the Prince of Wales home farm, right? And they use the same sort of wastewater garden there too. So this is the preeminent expert. His name is Mark Nelson. He is a PhD, he's a biospherian. Actually, Tony Juniper I think he heads up the UK environmental project for the Parliament. So this is a big deal, but it might be, and it's, especially for rural areas, it's very simple to do. It's basically, he would kill me if I said a reed bed, but it's basically just letting the plants, as you said, it used to be the animals, but you can use plants and animals to clean the waste. And then you get beautiful potable water on the other side of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will take a look at that. That's always great. That's what I was saying earlier. I was saying that we each hold a small piece of the solution. So the job here is to put all the pieces together. It's not to fix everything by ourselves. We just have to find each other. And then, I bring my little piece, and then you bring yours, and everybody, Gail. And so that's where we are now. And we have, that's why the connection is so important. We get this amazing tool now with the internet and to connect with each other. I don't even know where you are in the world, but I know that I'm always on Zoom somewhere, and I'm in India, I'm in Africa, I'm even in the jungle, so I can be online. So this is a symbol that this connection, what are we using them for? We have to make sure that we teach our children that we have to use them so we can bring those solutions, we can bring our piece, of the puzzle, because we have a puzzle to build, the puzzle of the solution to, correct a lot of the errors that we made.
Well, one other thing I want to show you real quickly with regard to them, because they do projects around the world, from Puerto Rico to, to Iraq. They're doing this wastewater garden in Iraq. But you might want to go to his website, ecotechnics.edu, because they find funding too. So it's really, it's if this is, I don't know if it's appropriate for your area, it might be better. You know how, climate solutions are usually very local. So it might just be better for everybody to go back to the waste in the backyard and the animals take care of it. Who knows? But, if you do have a water close by, a river close by, this is a natural solution. It's called he would say constructed wetlands, because you can plant calla lilies. He's even planted mango trees, pineapple trees. I mean, there's all kinds of plants that can actually filter out the toxins from the waste and then create beautiful potable water on the other end.
And
I was just going to say, if you don't mind just texting me the website so we can go to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank you, Natalie.
And just on another note, maybe it's not put on my profile enough on the internet, because I'm just starting to bring awareness into this situation of the e-waste. So all the electronics that we're using, all this e-waste is also very important to address that, because all of it, like we only recycle 17% of all e-waste, and the rest is dumped in Africa. So I have rivers that you can literally walk on the river. You don't see the water anymore, and it's all our electronic wasteland. So we throw all our electronic waste in Africa again. So this is another problem that I'm starting to raise now. I associated my voice with an organization called, it's a company called Immersion 4, but in Immersion 4, we're doing work to make people conscious that the electronics, because we're talking about this new technology all the time, but we forget that the new technology is into hardware. So this electronic hardware, where do they go after the lifespan? And then they want to make it shorter and shorter. iPhone, not even a year, you have to get a new one. So where does the old one go? And where all these things now have to be integrated into teaching our youth to be conscious that as a Westerner, I consume 27 kilo of raw material of this planet per day. Per day, to just live the lifestyle we are living now, with everything the way we find it's normal. That normal is 27 kilos per human being in the Western or industrialized world, that you digging out of the earth and you consuming per individual per day.
Yeah. So, I think that let's make this into an Earth gratitude message. So problem solution. So, and I think that this is one that people are not aware of. A, that their e-waste is not being recycled, and B, that it's getting shipped into your planet, into your continent over there. So what I would say is just try to be like, this is the problem and this is the solution. Like, 3 things. You make it last longer, give it to somebody else, repurpose it, however it is, but be aware that it's not being recycled. So because a lot of people, I think, don't have that awareness. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
We have to also come back with maybe like forcing the companies to maybe to do like a label to say, hey, this electronic that you are buying is, respecting some standard of being reprocessed, electronic waste, or something that also, hold not only the consumer
Love it.
accountable, but also the producers of these things accountable. Just like the blood diamond, you had to trace the diamond to know that it wasn't a blood diamond. We're going to also have to put a trace on what's the life after the use. What happened after we finish using this electronic material? Because that's what the plastic issue is.
I love
What
it.
happened with the plastic after we finish using it? So we're going to have to come up with a label, a global logo to say, or a grade, or say +1, +2, +3, +4, I don't know,
Yeah.
stars, green star, whatever, to showcase that, like this, the consumer can make a more conscious choice when they buy something, even between this phone or this phone. Guess what? This phone, lasts much longer. This phone uses much, toxic material. This phone, when the life is over, the recycle process is better. We can recycle more pieces of this phone. So, and then the phone gets a better grade on the green, like a green grade. So I'm just, talking, just
I
like
wonder,
that. But
do you think it already is out there at all, like NRDC? Have you come across anybody that's doing anything at all like in that realm?
it might be because ideas are really usually out there, because they're in the cosmic consciousness. So it might be, but I'm not aware of it yet.
I'm not either.
So if it is, well, let that piece of the solution come to play.
What we'll do if we find it, we'll throw it in there like this. Okay, so let's do a succinct just on that. Here's the problem, e-waste. Here, it's not being recycled, only blank %. It is going to my continent and about the river. And then here are 3 things that we can do as a consumer, what we should be forcing the companies to do, that sort of thing, okay? All right, I'm gonna give it to you.
So there is another issue that I want to bring awareness to, is the electronic waste or e-waste. And I am very conscious of the, very fast, rapid rise of electronic use in many places in the world, and especially with all the new technologies, the blockchain, the NFT, the crypto, all of these things come, they don't exist in the ether. They exist supported by equipment, and all that equipment is electronic equipment. And once the life of the equipment is over, then they become electronic waste. And unfortunately, we recycle only 17% of these waste, and then the rest of it is dumped in backyard in Africa. So it's really a major problem. I know places where there's rivers that are filled with electronic waste. So the problem of plastic in rivers is not the only problem. We also have e-waste in the rivers and many other landfills full of e-waste, and it's really detrimental to people's health and the environment. And we have to be conscious that every piece of electronic, every phone we buy, every machinery that we have is going to end up in the landfill somewhere. And so the consumers and the people are using these device have to understand, and when we're using these devices, even in data centers or crypto mining centers, we have to understand and that this is going to have consequence. So we have to use all these things wisely to do good things, first of all, and also we have to pick and choose the ones that are going to be less conducive of ending up in the landfill somewhere. So I don't know of many solutions yet. I think that we have to be conscious, and also maybe we have to demand that maybe some label of quality in terms of ability to recycle and to not end up in a landfill in Africa somewhere has to be highlighted for the consumer to be able to choose, and for the producers to be placed in front of their responsibility. So with that, we could grade different pieces of electronics or different, computers, phone, data centers. We could grade them according to their ability to be recycled, and therefore the consumer could have on his hand a better choice in terms of being conscious about the impact that we have on the environment. So that's another thing that I would love to see working in collaboration with many to do this kind of work, and find out how we can better recycle e-waste, and also just not waste them, because oftentimes phones last a year now. Every year a new phone comes out because our economic model says we have to have growth, and yet again that growth is costing us to now have waste. So we have to be again mindful that things have to change, and we have to put our minds together to achieve those changes.
Love it, Queen Diambi. Okay, so one last thing, and we can put it on here too, but I also am going to ask Gail to send it over, is we want to have your full name and your full title, because in the beginning, I didn't know if you would be properly addressed HM or HRH. So if you can say your full name, and then if there's a website that you want to direct people to.
Yes, well, it's quite interesting because I'm speaking English, but my title and ranks are actually my native language. So they will not be in English. So English is just a pale translation of what my title is. So I am Diambi, Kabatusuila, Tshiyoyo, Muata, Mukalenga, Mukaji, Nkashama, Bakwa, Luntu, Kasai, Congo. So this is Queen of the Order of the Leopard. Actually, it's not queen. It's the female king of the Order of the Leopard, of the Bakwa Luntu people of Kasai in Congo. So that's my first title. The second one is Grande Mai do Povo Bato Brasileiro. So I have been crowned Queen of the African Descendants of Brazil in 2019. So I also hold that title as being a traditional queen to represent the bridge between the African descendants of Brazil and the Africans of the continent, especially from Congo. So I will, so that's why for us, HM is Her Majesty. Normally it's HM because I'm a queen, I'm a king on the throne. And normally Her Royal Highness would be for anybody who's from the royal family, but it's okay. It's not, this is, there is no offense taken whatsoever. I am a servant beyond anything. So even if you call me just Diambi, it's not gonna, I'm not gonna take offense, but it's the throne that requires the protocol of being called Queen or Majesty.
Okay, so Your Majesty, why is it female king? You must say.
Okay, yes. So in our tradition, power is, okay, the governance of a throne would be structured with two elements. Women in Africa, in our tradition, represent power. It's not the men. Men do not represent power whatsoever. Women represent power because they are the ones who carry the most powerful muscle in the human. The uterus is bring birth, bring life to the world. But so the throne itself is the representation of women power. So the women are the power of the community. However, the men represent authority. So that's why a man sits on the throne, because the power needs an expression, needs to be expressed and needs to be carried out. So the man will be the element, the symbol of carrying out that authority. Look, he has all the muscle, the strength, the voice and everything, the posture to carry out the power with authority. But authority that is not seated on power of the women is empty. Meaning that the only way you see that authority manifest is in terms of violence and coercion. And the world we live in today is a very clear representation of the fact that it's an authority, it's not a power, it's just an authority. If the authority was properly seated on the power of women, we would have a more harmonious world, we would have a more peaceful world, because it's about the two elements coming together to create balance.
Oh, I love that. That's as important as
So
all of it.
the reason why I'm a female king is because exceptionally, sometimes it happens that a woman will sit on the throne. So as a woman, it's not, I'm now authority as well. But so to do that, it's just happened sometimes in history. We have had several female kings in Africa, including one of the biggest one, the most famous one is King Hatshepsut. So it's the Pharaoh Hatshepsut of Kemet, or called Egypt by the Westerners. So that's one of them, but we have had other ones. And it just happened that sometimes there is a configuration that requires a woman to sit on the throne. But don't forget, a woman can be both, because out of us comes out a man and a woman. So the other way would be difficult. But the fact that I'm a woman, I can also sit on the throne during exceptional times or because of exceptional circumstances, but there is a lot of work and rituals that I have to undergo for me to be able to do that. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about our gender, it's really about the energy that our gender support. So I'm supporting a specific energy because I'm a woman. A man will support another system because they are men. So the structure can allow for support. So therefore, that's why we need both. But sometimes we have to reconfigure. A person like myself, I had to be reconfigured so I can support the energy of authority as well. But all authority with just great love and kiss and hugs.
Fantastico. Okay, and I think we're done. So thank you. Let me go ahead and stop